Part 1. The Prince and the Handmaid. A prince there was, long since in time it is, of church and state, the power and wealth were his. The chase, on horse, one day to follow bent, with pompous courtier train, afield he went. A handmaid fair was wandering near a grove. Her he espied, and straightway fell in love. His heart was snared, her form its cage, its stall. He lavished gold, and made her thus his thrall. But now behold the wayward spite of fate. The maid fell sick. This prince's joy debate. A donkey had Hodge, no saddle to the fore. A saddle bought, a wolf, straight Jacky tore. A jug had Dick, the well, alas, was dry. The well then filled, the jug was broken, hard by. Now leeches called the prince from left from right. 2 lives, quoth he, depend upon your might. My health is not, she's life of me. I'm sad at heart, my sovereign balm is she, who finds a remedy to save her life. Much gold with the jewels his, and thanks more rife. All promised marvels, each to use his skill to search the case, to ease the maiden's ill. Each one of us has Jesus' healing power. Of all their ills, we cure men every hour. Through pride, God willing, said they not, I trow, man's nothingness in them the Lord would show. That is to say, to leave out this good word is sin, said by mere rote. It will not please the Lord. How many shrink from tonguing it aloud, whose hearts each action with God willing shroud. The doctor has now prescribed full many a drug. In vain they ponder, vain their shoulders shrug. The maid a very skeleton became. The prince's tears their want of skill did blame. With oxymel through fate did bile increase. In almond oil ran dry, were rubbed as grease. Lex myrobolans act as nutgalls first, as naphtha feeds a fire, drinks brought but thirst. The prince no sooner saw their art was vain, than barefoot sped heaven's worship house to gain. My holy altar there he bowed before, with flood of tears he bathed the sacred floor. Then heart relieved with sorrow's fierce outbreak, mid praise and blessing thus his suit he spake. To thee whose meanest gift is worldwide sway, who knowest each secret wish, my need I pray. Our refuge art thou in our every need. We've erred again, do thou in mercy lead. 'Tis thy behest, to whom all thoughts are known, that man with words approach thy awful throne. His humble supplication proffered so, sweet mercies font at once did overflow. His tears undried, deep slumber on him fell, and heavenly dulcet tones he heard thus tell. Glad tidings, prince, to thee this day I bring. Next day dawn at thy gate a guest shall ring. A heaven-sent stranger versed in healing art. In him have faith, he's true in speech and heart. Imagine not his treatment, magic spell. God's power alone can make thy maiden well. The promised hour at hand, the day dawn broke. The sunbeams paled the stars. The prince awoke. An outlook sought he, whence to watch the sky. At first the expected stranger to survey. One he espied, of most majestic mien, a radiant smile as sun, dark clouds between. Our moon at full, so seemed he from afar. Mere fancy's pictures, ever objects mar. Things non-existent, often frenzy paints. We see mankind deluded over feints. Their peace, their war, not seldom for a sham. Their pride, their shame, some sorry epigram. But visions such as blessed saints in trance, reflections are from heaven's inhabitants. The semblance by our prince seen in his swoon, the features wore that now in flesh are shown. The prince, in lieu of ushers, forward came to meet the heaven-sent guest in his own name. Their trains one column formed from mingling bands, their hearts united fettered, not their hands. The prince, when thou didst my soul enslaved, not she, but here below effect a cause, must see. Be my Mohammed, I thy Umar stand, with girded loins awaiting thy command. Pray God to grant thee ever meek respect, the puffed up fools remote from heaven's elect. A shameless monarch to himself, a curse, a firebrand to his realm, nay, even worse. Food in the wilderness by God was sent, food without toil, food gratis, without stint. Some graceless scoffers out of Moses' host dared to demand the onions, lentils lost. Such toilless food then ceased to fall from heaven, to dig, to sow, to reap, in lieu is given. Fresh suit, much later, Jesus made, God willed. Again food rife became, men's dishes filled. That food's a gift from heaven is clearly said in Jesus' prayer, give us our daily bread. Men's bold presumption, heaven again incensed, when baskets full to beggars were dispensed. Jesus proclaimed the miracle would last, that food would never lack as in the past. Men doubted, asked for more to store away. They trusted not God's word for bread each day. Importunate those suitors full of greed, heaven's gate of mercy closed against their breed. Withheld is rain when alms have ceased to flow. Where fornication reigns, black death will grow. Whatever grief and sorrow on us sent, of wickedness and guilt's a punishment. The hardened sinner, who his God offends, a ruthless robber is, he spoils his friends. He who is shameless in his words and deeds, despair from disappointment in his meed. Yon orbs of heaven obey their Maker's word. The holy angels meekly serve the Lord. The sun's ellipse is but a check to pride, and Satan's fall, presumption, caused the tide. Or turn we now the sequel to a test of what befell our prince with his new guest. His circling arms, the welcome form embraced, and lover-like with joy his neck enlaced. Kisses bestowed he on his hand and brow. Hope kindly he'd fared well from home till now. His health and welfare asking, led him in. Its own reward is patience, thought he then. Patience at first is bitter, but at length its fruit is sweet, it gives us heart content. Then he allowed a gift from God thou'rt come. The Proverbs pith, my patience overcome. This meeting's the reward of all my prayer. Thou'lt solve the riddle of my dark despair. The expounder thou of all my soul's desires. Thou'lt extricate me from despond's deep mires. Be welcome then, a very friend in need. Hast thou delayed, my case were sad indeed. Prince of physicians, who'd not welcome thee, deserves rejection, do his eyes not see? Urbante's requirements thus vested, our prince the stranger to a chamber led. The maiden's tale and case he there unfolds. The patient next unveiled the guest beholds. Complexion, pulse, agesta, all are seen. Disposing causes, symptoms sought, I weep. Then he, the remedies till now adduced, have detrimental been, no good produced. The case has been from first misunderstood. Protect us, heaven, a blundering brotherhood. He saw her trouble, thence divined her ill. Her secret kept he hidden held it still. The sickness was not caused by bile or spleen. The scent of perfumes better smelt than seen. He traced her suffering to a mind oppressed, her body sound, her soul a wish suppressed. Her hesitations made him guess her love. The symptoms plain, her heart was sick, poor dove. A lover's smart is not from fleshly pine. A probe is love, it sounds heart's depths divine. Let love proceed from this or other cause, it matters not heavenward, it mortals draws. However well we strive love to portray, we blush thereat when love our hearts doth sway. Words make most matters plain and manifest, but love unspoken speaks all volumes best. When pain took up from zeal the writing trade, and love's description, oh, such blots it made. Our wits in love's affairs stand sore perplexed. Love only can elucidate love's text. The sun alone can well explain the sun. What see expounded, turn to him alone. A shade, 'tis true, of him gives some small hint. The shining sun surpasses all comment. A shade like evening chit-chat sends to sleep. From sun's effulgence does full knowledge leap. That day orbit still each eve sets here below. The sole sun God shines in eternal glow. Among things extern, that orb has not appear, but mock suns we can make our nights to cheer. On heart unless the soul sun cast a ray, no thought, no picture can its sheen betray. Can mind his glorious excellence comprehend, his presence then to imagine who will tend. A poet's verse, when God's the holy theme, its minished head the sun may hide, 'twould seem. At mention of his name each breast must find a duty, 'tis his grace to call to mind. The breath of life he to this body gave, with him to reunite should mercy save. These years I've conversed with him, life serene. One repetition more, O blissful scene! How pleasant heaven and earth their smiling hold. He offers soul, mind, eye 100-fold. Beyond my strength, oh try me not these days. My reason fail to falter forth thy praise. The song of man, when uninspired by thee, mere fulsome, flattering trash is seen to be. Bid me describe whose every nerve is seared, a lover's woe, whom mistress never cheered. His lonesomeness, the anguish of his breast, not here I'll paint, elsewhere it may be best. He cries, oh succor me, I faint, I paint it. And quickly, less delay, the dagger plant. The mystic truly leaves each moment's need. Tomorrow's not a point in his pure creed. Art not persuaded so? The proverb scan. Delays, the thief of time, say bane of man. Love's sweetest favors are conferred by stealth. Its darksome hints are treasured mines of wealth. The tales most pleasant to a lover's ears, that tells of joys he's tasted, ills he fears. Speak, meddler, then in plain, unvarnished guise. No subterfuge employ, deal not in lies. The veil tear off, dissimulation lost. When unadored beauties adorned the most, should my sweet love unveil her charms display, thy smirks and smiles would all be borne away. Thy suit prefer, use moderation still, a blade of grass ne'er overturns a hill. The sun that lights and warms this nether world, if brought too near, had all to ruin hurled. Seek not to sow dissension in the earth, vaunt not the son of Tabriz, holy birth. Contentions never ending, far better commit to memory this wordy war. The guest, convinced that love had caused her ill, proceeded next the prince's mind to still. These chambers clear of every mortal soul, leave me alone, the patient to control. No prying ear may linger in the hall. I've things to ask, may not be heard at all. The place was cleared, no soul remained within, save leech and patient, other none was seen. In gentlest tones he asked, where was thy home? For each town's folk a different cure must come. What friends, what family hast left behind? Companions, playmates, who to thee were kind? On pulse his finger, he then one by one inquired anew each point, omitting none. So he whose foot is wound with a thorn, upon his knee doth take the limb that's torn. With needle's point he seeks the intrusive dart, not finding it from lip, he soothes the smart. If thorn in foot is thus a task to find, judge what must be a rankling pang of mind. Could every chance observer spy those ills, where'd be the cankering care, the grief that kills? Boys place a thorn beneath a donkey's tail. The cure Ned knows not, jumping's no avail. Whisking's still worse, it deeper drives the dart. 'Tis reason's task to ease the burning smart. The donkey, if sharper, grows the throbs and pains. Kicks, plunges, rolls his hide, with gore the stains. Our doctor's mind, by art full well prepared, with gentle measures sought the ill he feared. Once more with tact he bids fresh memories come, and leads the babe again to talk of home. The spring once tapped, the stream began to flow. She told inquirer much he wished to know. He lends his ear as she each scene displays. His finger notes her pulse as on she strays, to learn if any name should raise a start, and thus betray the secret of her heart. Anew he mentions every friend, each place, repeated such as gave of hope a trace. He asked on quitting thou thy native town, where first was it thy guardians set thee down. A place she named, and on to others passed, nor blush nor pulse gave sign, or notice masked. Of lords and citizens she gave report, of festivals and seats of gay resort. Town after town, house after house by name, she spoke about, no blush, no throb still came. Her pulse retained its normal ebb and flow, till Samarkand's name made her cheeks to glow. Her pulse beat high, her color went and came. Of goldsmith youth she there had been the flame. This point drawn forth, this secret once confessed, more easily our leech the sequel guessed. O maiden, let me know this youth's abode, at Hollowell, near Bridge End's public road. I knew, said he, at once, thy case was such. Now trust me, thee to serve I will do much. Make thyself happy, cast away all care, as showers cheer meadows, thee I'll greatly spare. I'll prove thy guardian angel, never fear. Thy father's place I'll take, thy burden bear. Tell not this secret unto mortal soul, however much the prince may thee cajole. Keep safe this knowledge in thy own heart's core, so mayest thou, lass, thy lover see once more. Our holy prophet's sacred maxim 'twas, who keeps his secret, speedy success has. The seed to earth committed sure must be, ere field or garden's pride men may it see. If gold and silver were not hard to find, how could they grow? They soon would be outmined. The good physician's soothing words perceived, our maiden's mind from carking cares relieved. Some promises are truly meant sincere, others are merely made to cheat the ear. A good man's promise is a gem of price. Rely not on the words of sons of vice. Our doctors now with subtle speech and wiles, the maiden's grief had turned to sunny smiles. He leaves her then, seeks out the prince, and tells the news he'd learnt, the source of all her ills. What's now to do? The prince's care inquired. Delay is dangerous. Patience may grow tired. The doctor then, send for him, come he must, from his far home to fill some post of trust. Invite him here, a dress of honor give, on him shower gold, new life 'twill make him live. The prince assented, took the doctor's plan, thought it was sound and wise from such a man. 2 trusty messengers he quickly sent, sedate, fair spoken, loved where'er they went. To Samarcand they journeyed, prompt and sure. The goldsmith found, the prince's message bore. Great man of art, the marvels of thy skill are viewed with rapture, are with envy still. Our prince has need of thee, his mint to guide, for none like thee is heard of far and wide. This dress of honor, yonder gold he sends, request thou'lt come and be his best of friends. The gold and dress of honor won his heart. Goodbye to home, he said, with them to start. He travels joyous, thinks his luck is great, and never dreams of what's to be his fate. An Arab charger proudly bore him on. He reeked not at what price all this was won. O fatuous fool, thou hastest to thy doom. The post thou dreamtest of soon will be thy tomb. His fancy webs of power and fame did weave. Death's angel thundered, come, and all this leave. Arrived the times at his long journey's end. The doctor led him to the prince, his friend. Most nobly was he there received in turn. One trims the lampwick, still to make it burn. The prince addressed him, bade him welcome there. Mint master named him, treasurer and mayor. Our doctor once again his counsel gave. The damsel to this youth for service leave. United to him, she'll her health regain. Love's fever will subside with absence of pain. The prince bestows the sick one on her mate. United were the two in solemn state. 6 months they feasted on love's joys so sweet. The handmaid's health from day to day more meet. The doctor now a potion mixed for him. His health declines. He every day grows slim. The coin that passes much from hand to hand soon loses currency, has no demand. So he, when beauty no more graced his cheek, began to lack worth with the handmaid sleek. All love that's built on outer skin-deep charms is not true love. At length shame 'tis that warms. Would it were shame alone that pricks him now, he'd not been victimized and brought thus low. His eyes pour forth two streams of bitter tears, his altered features, the worst foe he fears. The peacock's enemy, his plumage call, the monarch bleeds, whose splendors neighbors gall. The musk deer for the musk pod still is slain. His blood for that alone the ground will stain. The marten for its fur is trapped, surprised, and strangled. Kings its pelt have prized. The elephant, sagacious creature, dies, for every pierced with weapons as he flies. He who slays me for what I leave behind reflects not blood that spilt demands its kind. Today 'tis I, tomorrow 'twill be thou. Who'll be most loser? 'Tis not I. All know the shadow of a wall, 'tis true, is wide. The sun revolves, the shadows turned aside. The world's a mountain, all our works a voice. Our voice goes forth, its echo has no choice. Reflecting thus, the goldsmith breathed his last. The handmaid's love and grief behind her cast. A dead mate's love can never more be shown. A dead mate's voice will never more be known. Love for the living in the heart and eyes will ever spring the dead no more can rise. When living is there, death that never knows. Love him, the life from him alone still flows. Love him whom saints and prophets have all loved, through whom alone we all have lived and moved. Say not thou canst not to his throne approach. He's gracious. His rich grace bears no reproach. The goldsmith's death through lethal drugs, be sure, was not from hope or fear or baser lure. The doctor killed him not to please our prince. Him some divine suggestion did convince. The story of the child by angel slain cannot be fully grasped by man's minds too plain. A saint that acts on heaven's high behest can never do amiss, 'tis always best. He who can pardon, he may also doom. He's God's vicegerent, acts in heaven's room, as Ishmael beneath his father's knife. Do thou for such a prince lay down thy life. Thus may thy soul in future blessed abode, Muhammad-like in peace, be with thy God. His lovers joyful are most when they slay their worldly joys with their own hands as play. Our prince took not the goldsmith's life through lust. Chase such suspicion from thy mind, thou must. Imagine not he'd stoop to mortal sin. Can holy saint have tainted heart within? The trial of the fire and of the flame is but to cleanse pure gold from every blame. So too temptation on us all is sent, to part the good from those of bad intent. Had he not acted thus by God's command, no prince a wolf he'd been, ravening the land. From lust, greed, foul caprice, his soul was free. So did God will, whatever the cause may be. Elias sank his ship in full design. That wreck to future blessings was the sign. Moses was shocked thereat, with all his skill and inspiration. Thou must needs judge ill. A blood-red rose, call not by murder's name. Just retribution, see thou. Do not blame. Had righteous blood been shed by him as not, blasphemer were I to extol him aught. Praise of the wicked God with horror views. The good contemn all flatterers of sin's crews. Our prince was kind and virtuous, wise and just, a man God-fearing, and in God's full trust. A victim put to death by such a friend is slain in error, are for some wise end. Did not our God mean mercy in his wrath? How could the Lord of mercies thunder forth? A child may tremble at the lancet's smart. His mother knows there's healing in the dart. It may half kill him, but restores sound life. So God's mercies far surpass our strife. Men judge of what they see by what they think. From judging justice, men of sense will shrink. And let us not pretend that the church and the state are separate. Whoever's in charge, they operate according to their beliefs. And if they're in charge of the government, they tend to dictate the limits of this so-called religious organizations. In Islam, a free person can't legally be bought and sold. And there's other rules about slavery, which take it away from the injustice that we typically associate with it. By way of hyperbole, a clever physician is always compared to Jesus and his miraculous healing powers by Mesnevi. Quran 18:23 teaches, say not, I will do so and so, unless thou add, God willing. Divine service in Islam is entirely worship and praise. It is erroneous to talk of Muslimin saying their prayers. Praise, laud, and glory is what they are bound to offer. Prayer is voluntary, and it is prohibited unless in some duly authorized form as a collect, while the ritual prayers are obliged, but you know what I mean. It's not something the state enforces anyways. Quran 2, 58 and 114 are hinted out here. The word Sufi used in the original is probably the Greek Saphoi, but is explained as meaning literally clad in woolen from suf, wool, metaphorically in common use. It means a pious man. And black wool actually isn't too bad in summer. It's better than shorts and a t-shirt or something, you know, for in multiple ways. The holy sheikh, Shamsuddin of Tabriz, is meant, who was friend of the author for many years, visiting Konya at intervals, where he was put to death. In 1262 of the Common Era, see the Anecdotes, chapter 4, especially number 17. It's generally believed in bygone days that gems and metals grew and ripened in their mines. Well, some of them collect together underground or form by pressing, but yeah, not like that. The story is in Quran 1873. But see, it refutes that. You know, the gems ripening the mine is like, well, if it did that, meant people would, you know, harvest it quicker than it grows and it'd be gone, right? But the story in Quran, Surah 18:73, the angel was disguised as a servant to Moses. The passage says, and they two proceeded until they met a boy, and he slew him. With Muslimin, Ishmael was said to have been sacrificed, not Isaac. And the Bible supports that in ways too, without the one verse saying it was Isaac, you know. The Quran, Surah 37, 98 to 111, relates the story but gives no name to the boy. Commentators supply it by tradition. Continuation of the story from the Quran, Surah 18:870. Some commentators make Elias the servant of Moses on the occasion, but that doesn't make as much sense as it being Joshua. There is a tale in one of the essayists of the last century, The Spectator, if I rightly remember, you know, Redhouse here, that gives these two adventures and others. The angel at last explained to his companion the secret causes of all his actions. And, well, what are there, 15 more of these?